All right, all right. And we're live. We're live right now, streaming right now. Welcome to the Financial Turtle with Eric Anderson. I am your host, Isaac Rowe, and we welcome you today on this wonderful day, Thursday, for this live session. We have a lot of things we want to talk about today. Thanks for everyone that have shared the post and our information and the Financial Turtle and the podcast. Really appreciate your support for those tuning in. If you're new to the show and you're new to Eric and the Financial Turtle and Anderson Financial Consulting, please go visit the website and follow us on the social media platforms, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube channel. Please subscribe before you do before the end of this show. And today, Eric, how you doing, Eric?
I'm great, Isaac. And yourself? A little
Doing
tired.
good. A little
Getting over,
tired?
getting over tax season. That ended about a week or so ago. So, trying to wind down a little bit for the end of the
Okay.
year. You
Okay, okay. So tell us today, what is today's topic today? What are we going to talk about today? What's been
so
in your world?
so a lot of clients come up and talk to me. They see a lot of these videos talking about getting credit and things like that to try to build their business, start their business, and things like that. And because I'm an actual business owner as well as helping clients, a lot of things that people talk about, I actually deal with myself. And it's kind of funny that we're talking about this today because we were kind of discussing something I won't say going through, it just happened yesterday. Um, I keep getting all these calls and everything about getting more lines of credit. I already have two lines of credit, one for my business and one for personal. But if someone's gonna give me money that I can just stow away, that I'm not paying any annual fees or any type of fees on it, that it doesn't hurt to always have money just in case something happens. But the thing that people need to understand when I say that is don't just spend money because you have money. And I think that's the biggest problem that a lot of people, especially when I see a lot of people who either don't have a business at all, don't have a business that's making enough profit to pay these loans back. And then you are trying to get huge, huge loans. Even in my situation, like I said, one of the things that we were going through is when they're going through my financials, they're going through my credit, they're talking about the 250, 500, all that stuff that everybody talks about. And I'm telling them, I don't need that type of money. I don't need to have that type of money, even though I believe I am a little bit more, what's the word I'm looking to say, I can handle it a little bit better in the fact that I have more willpower than a person who doesn't have that type of money. And then as far as that type of credit, that type of line of credit, that type of credit card, things like that. And so you end up maxing those things out or spending it on things that are really not associated with your business. And then that actually hurts you. Again, I'm not against using other people's money, so to speak, like people say, or using business credit and things like that. But there's a big difference between, I'll give you a great example. So one of the things that I saw, I had a matter of fact, I got a letter today and they talked about getting a line of credit. It was like for like 150, $250,000. And it talked about an 8% return, an 8% interest on that money, right? So most people would say, okay, I'm going to take that. I'm going to go pay a bunch of my bills off. Now, what if you have bills that are the interest on those bills are less than that 8.7%? Or worse, if I went and took that money and I did not use that money to do something that was going to give me a return on my investment. So let's say I went on and bought a car or I went on a vacation or something like that because all these people are telling you that I can get an LLC, get an EIN number, and take my kids to Disneyland. Or I can go buy this car, or I can go do all these types of things using other people's money. And even if I'm taking these no interest for 18 months, whatever loans, I'm eventually going to have to pay that off, right? So if
Yeah.
I take that money and I use that money on something that again is not giving me a return on my investment, it might be great to say to somebody, I have these no interest loans for the 18, 12, whatever months. But when it comes time to start paying it, I still got to pay that interest, correct? And in many cases, people take the money and they use it on things that are not giving you a return on your investment. They're not going to make the type of money that is going to not only cover the interest on this other people's money that you're using, it's not even growing your business. And then sadly, I'm not going to talk about the business that's in the news right now with all the things going on with them and stuff like that. But if I say this word, anybody who is following it knows we all believe that we can do all these things and then just file bankruptcy and just continue to keep messing up your credit. And some people believe that if I put it in an LLC and an EIN number, that I can just go ahead, shut that business down and start another business. Correct? And
Yeah.
that's not going to follow me. But again, you're not building up business credit, right? I'm just steadily shutting down this business and going to the other business. So it's harder and harder for me to get more business credit. And a lot of times when you're doing that, you have to become a personal guarantor. So I'm not trying to be funny. I find it hard to believe that if you're horrible with your business finances, you're great with your personal. Correct? That's why most people don't want to be personal guarantors on these business loans, because they probably have horrible credit. If you're somebody who has great personal credit, you probably are going to be in the mindset of saying, okay, I got to have great business credit as well. Again, it's one thing if your business falls apart because, bad things happen or whatever that are beyond your control. But a lot of people who have businesses who end up filing bankruptcy, it's because a lot of times, sadly, you really don't even have a business. You just went out here and got all this credit. You got all these lines of credits and all these things. And then you went out doing things with that money because you're trying to save money on taxes. That sounds like all of the videos, all the podcasts, all the courses, all these things that you hear everybody say for you to do is to go get all this money or go start these businesses and go buy this truck or go take, form an LLC, put your kids as board members and go to Disney World. And uh, one I saw, go buy Super Bowl tickets and write it off.
You mean to tell me, Eric, I can't write off my vacation? I can't write off my cruise?
So here's the thing with that.
And if I do business on the cruise.
Got you. Here's the thing with that. And I'm just going to go ahead and go into it since we're doing live today. It's a difference between a wealthy person saying, I'm going to write these things off to bring my taxes down. And again, I hate to use the word, a broke person who says, I'm going to go do all these things to write my taxes down. Do you understand the difference? A wealthy person can afford those car payments. A wealthy person can afford to go on those vacations. A broke person is going to go to Disneyland on a credit card and write it off on your taxes, right? And it's not even dollar for dollar. So you're losing money right off top, because it's not dollar for dollar. We all know that, right? I don't care what all these celebrities and everybody tell you. If I go buy a G-Wagon for $200,000, it does not save me $200,000 on my taxes. Let's go ahead and dispel, just cut that out. That is not true. Anybody who really and truly does taxes will tell you that's not true.
So I can't write it off. So when you say
no,
the definition of writing it off is that it's free and clear
on your tax bracket. Correct. So when you hear somebody say, I can go buy a car that's over 6,000 pounds and the car is free, that's stupid saying it. It just is. It doesn't make any sense. If that was the case, then everybody should have a G-Wagon outside, right? Just go buy the G-Wagon and then write it off on your taxes because it's free. There's no logic in saying that. So what people get in trouble with is they go buy that car because they're so fixated on all the money they're going to save on their taxes, but they don't think about the monthly payment. They don't think about, again, life is life, right? We've been talking all week, right? I just had to go take my car in for the oil change to get the tires and all that stuff, right? I'm not going to talk about how much it was, but it wasn't Jiffy Lube. I had to take my G-Wagon in this week for exactly, right? So again, we can jump in these cars and Toro and all that stuff and pretend like we really and truly own these cars. But if you go talk to somebody who owns this car and they tell you the maintenance, the upkeep, all the things, the insurance, all the things on that car, it does not make sense to buy this car if in your mindset, I'm a business that really doesn't make any money, but I can buy this car and write off of my taxes if it's not dollar for dollar. Same thing. Somebody saying, I can take my kids to Disney World because I can go and say that my kids are on the board and I can write it all off. Again, it's not dollar for dollar. So again, it's a difference between a person who is struggling to pay their bills, who's struggling living paycheck to paycheck, but then jump up and create an LLC and an EIN number and say, okay, I'm going to go on this vacation. I'm going to do all these things because I can do this Schedule C and show my business negative and bring my AGI down, which is going to bring my taxes down. So now I'm making all this money in taxes. But unless you're going to file bankruptcy, you got to pay that credit card back that you put that on, right? You have to
Yeah.
pay those car notes. You have to do those things. This is why people end up filing bankruptcy. This is why people end up having bad credit, correct?
Yeah.
It's a difference if I say I'm going to go on a cruise and I pull it out of my account and I don't got to pay any interest on it. It doesn't affect anything that I got going on. It's not going to stop me from paying any bills. And if I do write it off of my business, it brings my profit and loss statement down because it's an expense. So it brings my overall profit down. But again, I'm doing that because I'm just trying to bring my taxes down. It does not affect me if I have a business that is actually profitable. And that's the heartburn when I watch this. That's the I wouldn't even say it's frustration because everybody's grown. So it's not even the frustration of watching people do it. It's like I really don't think you understand when you see people say you can do all this credit card stacking to get all these loans to be able to do all these things, and many of the people, like they say get an LLC and an EIN number. If I have a successful business, wouldn't I already have those things? So again, you're just running out and you're getting all this money, you're getting all these credit cards. And in many cases, as you saw when we were talking about what they were asking me for and everything, it's not just as simple as having an LLC and an EIN number, correct? It's not just as simple as these people make it out to be. They were asking me all these questions and everything like that. We're good because, again, I have a legitimate business. So I have legitimate finances. I have legitimate financials, legitimate tax returns. I didn't have to show all of that because of my credit, but I was being asked questions, correct? So
Right.
to believe that you can just go out and get all this credit, even though you don't have a business at all, not even saying a business that's profitable, some people don't have a business at all. And then somebody can say they can get you all this money. And we haven't even talked about these outlandish fees that they got the nerve to charge you to help you do something, to help you go into debt, basically. That's what they're doing. They're helping you go into debt. And so that's why it is so tragic when you see that. And a lot of times, it's so bad, Isaac. A lot of times they're teaching you this course, but they're helping you get the credit to be able to pay for the course, to give the money to them for the course, and then the money for them to help you get it. So now you're in all this debt.
Yeah.
You're in all this debt and you haven't sold a product. You haven't opened your doors. You haven't done anything. You haven't met a client. You haven't done anything. And some people are 20, 30, 40, $50,000 in debt for their quote unquote business because they've given this person all this money for their course, all this money to help them get all this money that, again, like you said, I didn't have to go to anybody. They're calling me every day to try to give me money. If you have all your financials together, if you are a legitimate business and stuff like that, you don't have to pay anybody to help you get any type of financing and stuff like that. If you really and truly are a legitimate business and stuff like that, you don't need to pay anybody 10% to help you get a line of credit or a credit card or any of those things. The problem is a lot of these people, again, like I said, you're not even thinking about the business part. You're just thinking about getting money. You are. Because if somebody said, can you sit down and show me a business plan on how you plan on paying this money back? That's never the conversation. When you see all these people saying fire, 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 and whatever the keyword is to take your course and stuff like that, like, it's like you're not even thinking about the interest I got to pay back on that. All the stuff that I have to do. What am I going to do in order to make this money work? You see what I'm saying? Like you said, when you were watching, when me and you were having the conversation about that, what was the main thing we were talking about? They were like, if you get this line of credit, we have to send you money. I was
Yeah.
like, no, Because if you send me money, I got to start paying interest.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, I don't want this money. And then what did they say? Oh, just $1,000 and you can pay it right back. Because why would I do that if I don't need this money? And now you're willing to do this for me because you know you're going to get interest off of me. Same thing. Most people, you think it's incredibly great that you're getting a loan. So let's say I get like a $250,000 loan from my business. Immediately, I got to start paying that credit back.
Immediately. Yeah.
And in many cases, I don't have a business, or definitely not a business that's making the type of money to give me the rate of a return
Right.
at
That's
that
cash
business.
flowing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then in most cases, like I'm saying, how am I getting a rate of return on my money if I take that money to go buy a car? Or if I take that money to go on vacation? Or if I take this money to go buy all these things that have nothing to do with my business, but someone is telling me I can write it off on my taxes, but they don't tell you it's not dollar for dollar. You go to InvestFest and you see all of these famous people tell you Section 179, this, just like the video that we talked about. When he said 100%, it's not 100% to Section 179. Look it up. It was 80% in 2023 and it's 60% in 2024.
Yeah.
Go look it up. Clients actually come in here and say it to me, and I have to show them in the software, when we're doing your tax return, it's not 100%. It's 60% in 2024. But people who do not do taxes are telling you that it's 100%. So you go run out and get this car because you say, I can write it completely off. And again, great. Who's making the car payment every month? Who's paying the insurance every month? Who's paying the upkeep? Cars like that, as you see, I'm not going to say how much it costs to go take the car in, to go get the oil change and, get the $20,000.
Is it over the $100 that's about $150 to get all the bells and whistles, all that good stuff? Is it over that?
It's over 4 figures. Period.
Okay.
When you do the 30 and the 40,000 miles, stuff like that, it's 4 figures. If you actually go to the dealership, it gets to be up to 4 figures.
Mm.
And that's if you're going to have that type of vehicle, that type of car, you need to be able to upkeep it. You need to be able to make sure you maintain it. You're not going to take it to that shade tree mechanic around the street who knows how to change brakes and knows how to do oil changes and stuff like that. A lot of those cars, if you do or do not know, I've had these kind of cars before. A lot of times something will happen and you got to take it to the dealership.
Yeah.
You can't get it fixed somewhere else because there's all types of electrical stuff that they gotta, do things to get the codes out and stuff like that. You gotta actually take it to the dealership.
Yeah. So Eric, why do like you see people that chase good credit but avoid like those good habits? Like, we want credit, we want this, we want good credit, but then we avoid bad habits that lead us into a place that we really don't want to be, and we end up in a place we end up digging basically a bigger hole, like for ourselves. So what would a person need, or a mindset that they would need or approach to getting good credit, establishing credit, and avoid the lines of credit or the business credit, and getting involved in more things unless they need it or when they need it? What would you say to that?
So the main thing that's popping up in my mind right now as you're saying that, have you ever seen the video? It's a bunch of them where young people walk around and they say, let me get this right. You can choose one of 4 things. I can give you, I think it's $100,000 a week. I can give you $10 million right now. I can give you $2 million a year, or an 800 credit score. What do you think most people say?
The 800 credit score.
What in the world? That's all you need to know. Because somehow in our mind, we believe an 800 credit score can get you anything you want. Can get you anything you want. My 800 credit score, I can walk into the dealership with this 800 credit score, and they're automatically going to give me anything I want because they think I have great credit. But we have not talked one moment about how to pay it back.
You know what, Eric?
So
you
that's
know, having good credit does make you feel good when you walk in there and then you got good credit though. Especially if you know if you've had bad credit in the past and they like denied you and denied you and denied you. You know, you run around, you see when they go to one place and they run all of it and they go to another place and they run everything for this vehicle and it's like getting denied. But when you have good credit, there's a sense of a feeling that you get. I don't know if it's just chasing that feeling.
but
Uh,
but the problem is, so like if somebody has good credit compared to somebody who has bad credit, what's the difference in that if I go to the dealership?
mhm.
The difference is if I have great credit, I'm going to pay a lower interest rate and I usually don't have to make a down payment, right? The person with the bad credit, they have to do a down payment and they have to pay way more interest, correct? So the person with the bad credit should probably be the person who walks out the door, right? Because
Yeah,
more than likely they can't afford it, correct?
you're right.
But if I have good credit, it's because I have a history of paying everything back, being responsible for my money and stuff like that. But if I just walk in, so like I said, if just snap my fingers, somebody scams, fixes my credit in 14 days, even though I have horrible money skills, money
Mm,
habits,
mm,
somebody instead of me going through the process of fixing my, it's like I saw in a comment, somebody said, if you had bad credit in 2025, there's something wrong with you. You need to take my credit course. That's what it is nowadays. Everybody talks about doing credit repair, but they don't talk about money habits. They don't
wow.
talk about doing the type of things that keeps you from having bad credit. All they do is fix your credit. They go and do these disputes, they go do all these things to get play all these games talking about is your name wrong and all this, is your address wrong when you know damn well it's your credit. You know damn well that's your debt. But someone fixes that for you and cleans it all up. But Isaac, if that's the case, if somebody continually keeps on fixing my mess every time I make a mess, what am I learning from that? Or am I going to keep on making those messes? I'm going to keep on doing the same exact thing because I'm not learning anything from this. And people
Mhm.
can get mad at me saying that. I guarantee you, if you have bad credit and you still have the same mindset, when somebody cleans your credit up, you're gonna have bad credit again within 2 to 3 years because you're gonna go right back to doing the same thing, right? It's like we talked the other day. Like I said to you, if I gave you $100,000 today, what would you do with it?
Yeah.
Most people, like you said, they be on Royal Caribbean, they be at the car dealership, they be at Disney World, they be doing all these things. And then when you say, "Are you building any type of wealth? Did you take any of that money and put into a brokerage account? Did you open up a Roth IRA? Did you do any of these things?" You didn't do any of those type of things, right? You just continue to spend money until it's almost like when you see people who win lotteries and stuff like that. What happens?
You usually go broke really,
Why?
really fast.
Because they go right back to the same habits.
The
They do
same
not sit
thing.
down with
Yeah.
an advisor or somebody like that who helps you understand how your money works, helps you understand, "Hey, I I need to be living off of this amount of my money, and I need to be saving and investing the rest of my money." But when people have that mindset and then somebody cleans that up for you just like that, you're still gonna have that mindset. So again, it's really tragic when you see, and again, I'm not trying to be funny. We can go into YouTube or Facebook or anything right now and just scroll. And how many people do you think are you going to see who say they do credit repair?
A lot.
And now you see a lot of people who say they can help you save all this money on your taxes because now they know that, oh, I'm going to teach you how to create a Schedule C, create this business, and write all your personal expenses and stuff off on your taxes to bring your AGI down. So now you don't got to pay any taxes and like that. That's fine and well. But oh, my client, yeah, it was canceled because, it's down. And if you ask what I mean, we were on our way to the IRS on Friday, right? Tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
For a client for this very thing. When I hear people, again, I'm not going to name them today, but when I hear people say, create a business, get an EIN number, and start writing all your personal expenses off on your Schedule C to bring your AGI down and stuff that you don't have to pay taxes, those are the people who I get to go to the IRS with. Because when those people call those people and say, "Hey, I'm being audited," they want to see these numbers that you put on my thing. Some people even come in here and say, I had no idea I had a business. I know we're just saying the same thing over some of these videos we've done when we talk about the red flags, especially with tax season coming up. I'm already seeing people who say they do taxes. I'm already seeing flyers and all this stuff for all these people who say they do taxes.
So what should they look out for, Eric? What should they look out for? What
Again,
person should they look out for?
so the main things they should look out for, especially somebody who says, I can definitely get you the biggest return more than anybody else. No. Automatically in your head, you should be saying, hey, they're probably trying to do something crazy. I never say to anybody, I can get you a bigger return than anybody else. I don't even know your situation. I don't even know your situation. So how on earth can I tell you I can get you a bigger return than anybody else? I don't even know your situation. You're just walking in, or I'm saying, hey, I can meet with you. Let's sit down and see everything that you got going on and stuff like that. But to just automatically say, I can get you a bigger return than anybody else, that's number one. Number two, if they usually when they say that, they then do that with the caveat of saying, I need to get 10 to 15% or whatever I get you. That should be another red flag. A lot of times when people come in here and I say, especially if you're a new client, pretty much every new client I ask to see last year's return. Why do you think I do that?
You want to see what their return was last time, if they had a return last time, right?
No, I'm a tax return period, because the main thing I want is if somebody comes in here, because a lot of times people will come in here and say, I got way more money last year. And then I point it out and show them. There are people who come in and they sit their W-2 down. And I say, you're not getting a return. They're like, what? Because you're not taking it out of your federal. I'm like, do you have kids or something? And they're like, oh, I got this huge return last year. And I said, I can already tell you there's some type of scam that was done. Because there's no way you're going to get a return if you have a W-2 and this is what you're taking out in federal and you don't have kids, you don't have any of those things. And then usually when they show me the return, if they're fortunate enough to get the return, because a lot of times these people who do these returns, they'll only send you like the first 2 pages. They won't send you the Schedule C that shows you have a business that's taken a $40,000, $50,000 loss. They won't send you the Schedule A that shows you showed $50,000, $60,000 in medical expenses, stuff like that. But if somebody who knows how to do taxes, I can go right to it and say, hey, your Schedule 1 on this line that says your Schedule 1, which is other income, it shows a huge $50,000, $60,000 loss. Or we can go down where it says other credits and it'll have this huge credit. And I'll be like, yeah, somebody tried to do something stupid like fuel credits or something on your return. And they'll say, what are you talking about? And I'll say, yeah, they neglected to send you that form showing the fuel credits. They neglected to send you the form showing the Schedule C. They neglected to send you the form showing the Schedule A. They just sent you the first 2 pages because that shows how much money you're getting back and what you need to sign and all that stuff. But if you ask for these, I can show you where they created these businesses, where they created all these medical expenses, where they did all these things to get you these huge returns. Sadly, again, I can get you a bigger return than anybody else. You're fine with it. You sit back and you say, hey, you must know what you're doing. And you got me this huge return. And then when we go to the IRS and they pull the return up and it says self-prepared and all that good stuff, then that's a whole nother fun time. But these are the type of red flags, especially as we're getting, like I said, we just got out of tax season. Well, me, because most of my clients are business owners, who are in partnerships, 1120Ss, clients who who are getting money out of estates and stuff like that. So a lot of those clients are people who are waiting for their K-1s from the businesses, from the partnerships and stuff like that. So they have to do extensions because those businesses do extensions from March till September. So I get a lot of clients after September 15th because they've been waiting around for their K-1s. So it's busy for me almost all year long. You're on mute. You're on mute, Isaac.
So your September 15th is the absolute date that they have to get that in, get everything in. Is that the last
corporation? If it's a corporation that's done an extension in March, they have to file that by September 15th. And then the people who get the K-1s, they do an extension. So instead of them doing their returns in April, they do an extension because they have to wait on those K-1s. So usually around August 15th, that's when it starts getting busy for me because I have a bunch of clients who bring their stuff in, who I do their corporations, who I do their partnerships, their 1120Ss, their I have a few C corps, so I have a few 1120s, but it's mainly 1120Ss, 1065s for the corporations, and then that's when I get the personal returns from people who are waiting for their K1s from those type of things, and from 1041s for people who get who get K1s from estates and stuff like that as well. And then it's not really busy now, but I do have a few that I've been working on here the last couple of days for 990s because they do their extension. And if you are to 1231, that's due in November. But there are 990s who do calendar, not fiscal. So depending on what the calendar is, when I say calendar, it's when your tax season ends, when your bookkeeping basically ends. Not all 990s do 1231. So whatever you do, that can determine whatever month that is due. So there are months that I have to do taxes pretty much every month, but they're very few and far between. I don't do that many 990s that are not 1231. So
That's good.
so I say that to say tax season is revving right back up again. But like I said, I just basically got out of tax season, like busy tax season last week. So
Wow.
mm.
Wow. That's crazy. That's crazy. So I would say that what is one belief just about money that you're trying to unlearn, or you feel that folks that you're seeing or clients that you need to unlearn when we're talking about about money or about business or business clarity? What is if there's any one belief or a few beliefs about money that you were trying to unlearn, or about business, or what you're seeing in your clients
So
that you
one
did?
of the biggest things that I see a lot is a lot of people are under the belief, and I hear it said all the time. A lot of people believe you create a business to save money on your taxes. And so a lot of people, again, they'll create a business and then they'll write all this stuff off to bring their taxes down. That's a true statement. But is that building wealth? I ask people that all the time. I say, okay, so I'll give you an example. I have a business and the business is profitable. Say the business has a $20,000 profit. And somebody will say, well, let me change that. So somebody has a business and they write a bunch of stuff off to show a $20,000 loss. So they save money. So they say, hey, I have this business. I wrote all this personal stuff off to bring my S Schedule C to show a minus 20,000. So if I make $100,000, again, where I said earlier about the other income, it shows the minus 20, it brings my AGI down to 80, right? So Eric, I'm saving all this money on taxes and stuff like that. So then I say to the client, are those legitimate expenses? And they say, what do you mean? I say, so how long are you going to be able to keep a business that's showing a $20,000 loss every year? You're actually losing $20,000 a year. Somebody might say to me, well, it's worth it to me for the taxes. That makes absolutely no sense. But if somebody said that, but what if I said to somebody, are you maxing out your 401k at work?
Mm.
Do you have a traditional IRA? These are things that you can bring your AGI down with as well, right? If I make $100,000 and I put $20,000 into my 401k at work, what is my AGI? $80,000.
Yeah.
It's the same $80,000. The only difference is I got to pay self-employment tax on the whole 100,000, as opposed to if I only make 80,000, then I pay self-employment tax on the 80. But again, it's pretty much the same thing. It's the same federal, right? Our whole goal is that's how you save taxes, right? I bring my AGI down. So does it make more sense to build wealth by opening up a 401k or putting money into my IRA or blowing it on a fake business? I'm gonna call it a fake business because in many cases it's not making money, so it's not a legitimate business. It's basically a hobby. I don't call it that. The
Ooh,
IRS does. It's a hobby.
that
Right?
hurts. That
So
hurts.
around writing all this stuff off to bring their taxes down when it makes more sense. It's almost like somebody saying to me, "Do I pay taxes?" And I say, "Yeah." And they're like, oh, you're stupid. No, I'm not. I pay myself a salary because you have to have earned income and have a salary, right? In order for me to max out my 401k, correct? In order for me to max out my solo 401k, I have to show income, right? If I'm an LLC, I have to show profit in order to put money into my SEP IRA. It's like when people talk about making their kids um, in their business, what do most people who really make money, what do? They do that so their kids can open up Roth IRAs,
Yeah.
right? They don't do it in a fake manner just to bring their taxes down. They're actually setting their kids up. So when we talk about this is what wealthy people do and this is how people get ahead, if you actually have a legitimate business and you are actually paying your kid, have your kid open up a Roth IRA. But do we do that? All we talk about is the write-off, right? We don't talk about, hey, I'm setting my kid up by starting my kid out at 10, 11, 12 years old and having them open up a Roth and watching that Roth grow all through their lifetime.
They'll
We're
be
just
multi-millionaires about time they
multi-millionaires,
multi-millionaires by the time.
multi-millionaires. If you are consistent with it and you don't touch it and you have it in something like the S&P 500 or something like that, your kid will be very well off, very well ahead. And if they've already got that mindset, if they're already doing that, they're not just going to be putting money into their Roth, right?
Right.
They're going to start doing the 15 to 20%, meaning they're going to be putting it into their 401k. They're going to be putting into that Roth. They might even open up brokerage accounts. They're going to be investors. They're going to be savers. They're already going to have that mindset instead of saying, I have this money, so let's go on these vacations, stuff like that. Again, I'm not knocking that. I'm not knocking that. But again, you know my situation, right? What do I say to you? I'm maxing out my 401k. I put money into a brokerage account. We put money into our backdoor Roths, stuff like that. If we're doing that and I'm going on vacation, what does that matter? Do you see what I'm saying? It's the people who don't have an emergency fund, who don't have a savings account, who come into my office and ask, can I go buy this car? Or if I go on this vacation and I talk to somebody for 30 minutes, can I write it off? Can I go on this cruise and do lives every day for 30 minutes? Can I write it off? And then I say, hey, can we talk about your emergency fund? Can we talk about reserves and stuff like that? Because if you have a business, most businesses don't have straight revenue every month, right? It ebbs and flows, right? So do you have money for revenue in reserves to be able to pay payroll or pay your rent or pay these type of things the months that it's slow? Obviously, my business, like I just told you, it's going to be dead for November and December. So if I don't have any type of revenue, it's going to be less than what I make in the other months. I still have business, but it's going to be less. And I know that because I know what type of business I have. So would that make any type of sense that I blow my money the other 10 months of the year and then I got to go get a line of credit or I got to use all these credit cards and stuff like that to pay my bills in November and December, as opposed to making sure I have reserves to be able to take care of November and December and still keep doing the same thing, still have money come out every month to go into my sole 401k, still be able to fund my brokerage account, still be able to fund the Roths, still be able to do all these type of things because I have money in reserves and money market accounts and all these things, as opposed to the person who just blows their money. And then when something happens, they can't make payroll, they can't do things like that. That's where the payday loans come in. That's where these predatory loans, all these things where you got to pay back the loan every day. I've seen it where clients have had to pay back loans like every day, not every month, not every week. I've actually seen people where you are having to pay the loan back every day because you're not planning ahead. You're not building reserves. You're not building savings accounts. You're not trying to build wealth. You're so busy thinking about if I write this off, write this off, write this off, write this off, I don't have to pay taxes. But you don't think about all the interest that you're paying on all these things and stuff like that. Again, I'm going to say it one more time. It's not even worth the argument of trying to tell somebody you're a dummy, you're stupid and like that if you're using your own money and not other people's money. To me, it's stupid to be the borrower, not the lender. I'm going to leave it at that. If you're out here being the borrower and not the lender, you think the other people are the idiots. That's the crazy part. So instead of me having to borrow money all the time and pay people all this interest, I have money sitting in accounts that is growing interest. And then if I want to take that money out, I can do what I need to do with it, but I don't got to pay anybody back, right? Because that's my money that's been sitting over there growing interest. As opposed to me just blowing money and doing whatever I want to do, using other people's money to do all these things, then I got to pay them back. And again, the example was the line of credit. No, I don't want a line of credit if you're going to force me to take money so you can start charging me interest. I'm not going to take a loan from you if you're going to force me to take this loan. So I got to start paying you interest back if I don't really need that money. That doesn't make sense to me. There's no logic in that. Why would I do that? Even if the interest is a write off, even if the interest is a write off. But again, it's not dollar for dollar. Do you see what I'm saying? So again, it still makes no sense. But
That's crazy, Eric. That's crazy.
I get it. Everybody has a course. Everybody is financial expert. Everybody knows what they're talking about. I get it. I get it. So why is everybody still broke? I hate to say it.
Oh.
It's like I hate to say it like that. I mean, we sit here and we just watch all these people all day long who said they're teaching credit repair. They're teaching people how to save money on their taxes. They're teaching people how to get all this credit and stuff. Why are people still broke? Because again, you're not getting the skills necessary when you get this money. You're not getting the skills to be able to have a business plan, be able to work that money to get a rate of return to grow your business. Again, I'll say the turkey leg hut is so tragic to me. That was a huge company that was making all this money. There's no way you can't tell me they weren't profitable. And everybody is celebrating them and bragging and talking about how they got over and they're doing all these great chess moves because you owe all these people money and your business shut down. So you had a business making all this money and now the business is gone. And just because you showed you had no money so you didn't have to pay anybody back, you think that's a chess move. You lost your business. You had a business that was probably making you hundreds of thousands to $1 million a year. And that business is gone. And you think the fact that you don't got to pay anybody back is a chess move. I'm sorry, Isaac. I know we're live, but that's stupid. That is stupid. It is. Somebody please tell me how that's not stupid thinking. I have a business that's profiting me. If I'm doing it correctly, it's profiting me hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. And it crumbles around me. And the celebration is that I don't got to, and that's even worse.
They grew too fast, Eric.
That's what it was.
I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe they mismanaged the money.
That's a better way to put it. But here's the worst part. Here's the worst part. Even myself, you've seen where I've had clients who don't pay me.
Yeah.
So imagine being a vendor. So imagine being a vendor for them, and so you've lost your money because so let's say I did like landscaping or something like that. And I had to pay all my people. I had to pay all the contractors. I had to buy all the equipment. I had to buy all the inventory, all the materials and all that stuff. And then I send you a net 30, a net 60 for me to get paid because I've already paid everybody. So I send you an invoice and you net 30, net 68. So I'm waiting on you for me to get paid because I've already paid everybody. And then I don't get paid. It's almost like the thing that I'm invested in, right? I won't even say I'm invested in anymore because that's over. But right, we invested in something, and
talk about it from scratch. Talk about it from scratch, from the beginning, from the beginning. We got a few more minutes.
Okay, great. So, someone approached me with somebody who was trying to start a business. I won't talk about what type of business or whatever, but he approached me. He wanted to start a business. He approached me first. I said, okay, I'll give you a little bit of money to start it or whatever. It wasn't like a whole lot of money or anything like that. But I have a business partner on investing. Not in my business. I have a business partner when I do investing. When we go out here and invest and stuff like that, I have an actual business partner. So I reached out to my business partner. I'm like, hey, I'm investing in this. You want to jump in with me? It's not a whole lot of money. Let's, do you want to do it? He said, cool. So he jumped in. Then the more we kept talking to the person, we ended up doubling what we were going to invest in. But what we did was we did a hybrid where we said, okay, we're going to loan you this amount of money and we're going to invest this amount of money for a percentage of your business. Kind of like Kevin O'Leary, right? Shark Tank, right?
Yeah.
Wealthy people. That's what y'all say, right? Wealthy people, right? So no matter what, we're going to get our loan back, right?
Right.
So as we're talking about it, then two other people joined in and invested. So now it's four people are invested in this business. The whole time we're asking to see financials, we're not getting any return. He's steadily saying he's not making any money and stuff like that. I'm just letting it go because he's slowly paying the loan back. He's not making the loan payments on time. He's not doing any of those things. But, everybody's like, you need to let him grow. He's just starting, the whole time I'm watching, I'm like, no, he's stealing. He's stealing. Right. Because I understand finances, right? You're stealing. You're giving us the K1s at the end of the year. They don't match anywhere near what real finances look like. So at the end, when he gave us the second year a K1s, I finally said something. And when I was like, okay, I went over the balance sheet with them. I went over the profit and loss state with them. I explained to him how you're stealing. You're stealing. You are straight up stealing. And
Told him to his face.
Told him to his face. He refused. He's like, I'm going to get another accountant. Again, I was like, no, you're not, because we're going to another accountant. The other accountant is going to tell you you're stealing. So you're not going to come back here and prove me wrong. I have the balance sheet in front of me. I have the profit and loss statement. I have your 1065. You're stealing. None of these numbers tie because you're stealing. And so just like Turkey Leg Hut, just like everybody brags and thinks it's such a great thing, guess what he did when we kept pressuring him for the finances, for the financials and all that stuff? Guess what he did? He threatened to file bankruptcy.
Wow.
Because that's the move, right?
Right.
So, but then you turn and say, we can't do anything together. We can't get our stuff together. We can't work together. We gave this guy tens of thousands of dollars. But he's the brilliant one because he's not going to pay us back. He got over because he ain't going to pay us back.
So y'all don't get paid. So did he file?
Again, we just left it alone because, again, when I went to my lawyers and stuff like that, obviously, what did they say? Just like the Turkey Leg Hut, right? If I take you to court and do all this and that, it's going to cost me more in lawyer fees than I'm going to get my money, right? He's broke. Wow.
So you had to take the L.
So we just took the L. But again, what do you think is my thought process the next time somebody comes up and wants to borrow money from me? Who comes up and wants to invest with me? And then they walk away and say, oh, yeah, you'll invest with this person or this type of person, but you won't invest with me. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm watching you. You're one of those people who's celebrating people like Turkey Leg Hut getting over. Wow. Again, like I said in a post, you would not feel that way if you were one of these vendors not getting paid. You would not feel that way. You would not be celebrating and talking about how they're getting over and Trump does it all the time and all that stuff. You wouldn't be saying those things if you're one of those vendors. Like you saw the thing I'm dealing with. You're steadily calling me and calling me and calling me. And you've owed me for over 5 years. I just wrote it off as bad debt. But now you're going to come back and ask me to send you what you need to move forward? No. You didn't care about paying me, right? You didn't care about paying me 5 years ago, right? But now because you're running and trying to pay me, I don't need your money. If I needed your money, I'd have demanded it 5 years ago, right? I'd have kept pestering you. But once I saw you weren't going to pay me, I just wrote it off as bad debt and just kept going, just kept it moving.
Wow.
And so I say that to say, when you see these videos and you see these people say, get this, make sure you get an LLC and an EIN instead of doing anything personally so you can file bankruptcy, you've already got that mindset. You're already walking in with that mindset that no matter what, I can file bankruptcy. You already have that mindset. And again, if you don't believe me, read the comments on what's going on with that place. Read the comments.
Yeah.
They're being celebrated. And the funny part is, all these people keep on saying, good, good, good. You're all clear. You can file another LLC and get another. You're going to start all over again. When you get out of jail, okay, cool. And then like, oh, they're in jail. Yeah, they're in jail. See, I told you I don't want to do lives. I told you I don't want to do lives.
Oh man, this man here. We can say you cutting up, Eric.
But that's what they're saying, right?
Yeah.
File another LLC and get another IN when they get out of jail. Okay.
What's this boy?
But again, Isaac, that is the mindset. It's the same thing, Isaac. If somebody says to me, I can clean up your credit in 14 days, no matter what is on it, do you think I'm walking around saying I need to have great credit? That I need to keep great credit? That I need to do the things I need to do to keep great credit? Do you think people say that? Or do they say, man, if this happens again, somebody's going to clean my credit up? I told you what the person said in the comments, right?
Mm-hmm.
To have bad credit in 2025 is crazy. Here's the link to my course. Everybody does credit repair. Apparently, there's no school necessary for you to learn how to do credit repair. Apparently, there's no.
You don't need to. I mean,
no
you can repair your credit yourself.
Yep.
It's something you could do yourself. So
And
you don't
then
need to pay anybody to do anything.
You do it yourself, then you believe you can help everybody. There's no course you have to take. It's like a lot of times when people talk about, and I'll do it on the tax thing. A lot of people talk about that when people say, do you do those type of things? I can't. When I file my taxes, my PTIN number's on it. My license number's on it. My EIN number's on it. So all that stuff's being tracked. I can't just walk around, give horrible information and do all that stuff. But somebody who says self-prepared can, right? I've sat in the IRS with returns that say self-prepared on them. And we get to watch the person try to look the person up on Facebook or try to find their phone number or trying to find an email just so they can give the IRS the name of the person. Where if I do something, the name of my business is on there, the PTIN number, the license number, the EIN number, all that stuff is on the return under the pay preparer stuff. You don't got to search for me. I'm right there. You can pull up my PTIN number and you can see every return I've done. You can see all the returns I've done. Did you know that? Yeah. If you're legitimate, but again, when you have these shade tree tax preparers who don't have PTIN numbers and stuff like that, who walk around say they do taxes and stuff like that. And again, like I said to people all the time, it wouldn't be so bad if when you do these things, if you didn't go to the IRS to try to clean it up. But that's never the case. That's never the case. They say they can't help you. They say they don't have time to help you and stuff like that. So then you're stuck having to call somebody like me to have to go to the IRS and have to sit and try to, because most of the time it's not even so much me fixing it. It's me helping you understand what they're saying. Because a lot of times when you go to the IRS, you have no idea why you're being audited and why they're doing these things and whatnot. So
comment. Yeah.
Thank you for the comment, Amber. And so again, like I said, you'll see it. I'm surprised because I'm already seeing people now and it's only October. But yeah, around Thanksgiving time, everybody is going to be all these people out of the woodwork saying they do taxes this year. Every year it happens. You see all these people jump up in social media and say they do taxes now.
So what would you like to see, Eric? What's moving forward? What would you like to see moving forward with everything in finance? And what would you like to give to those folks that are watching, that are tuning in right now? If you would have wrapped this up and kind of do a recap of everything, what would be your takeaway?
I would definitely tell people to definitely learn financial literacy, so you have a complete understanding. So a lot of times, a great example of that would be a lot of times when you and other people send me videos all the time, what do I usually do when you send me something? I Google back, right?
You Google it and research it, look it
I'll
up.
Google it for you, and I'll send it right back to show you how that's a lie, how it's not what they're saying and stuff like that. I'll Google it right back to you. I don't go back and forth. I look it up. I just look it up. You know, is this true? Is this true? I look it up and I just Google it back to you. I say, hey, you just read it. Because a lot of times, like I said, so much in these 25, 30 seconds that these people are talking, if it that's the tragedy. I don't know if it's desperation, gullible greed, or whatever, but if somebody says the things that you want to hear, you automatically go to it, even if it's absolutely untrue. And the sad part is, common sense wise, it's not true. If you sat back and really thought about it, you would say, man, there's no way that that's true. There's no way that that's true. But I really want to go on that vacation. You know, a funny example of that would be, because you know how we're watching all these videos of all these people who go into these banks and do these fraud checks. Isaac, look at your face. Isaac, you're going to get caught. You might get away one time. You might get away one time, but Isaac, you're going to get caught. But you still do it, right? It's like I give the example all the time of shoplifting. You might get away a few times, but if you keep on shoplifting, you're eventually going to get caught, right?
Yeah.
The same thing. If you keep doing all these crazy things financially and stuff like that, you might get away with it for a second and whatnot. Just like somebody doing all this crazy stuff on their taxes, you might get away with it for a little while. But then when you get caught, what's even worse is then you get red flagged. So now they're looking at your taxes every year. And a lot of times, the most tragic part is many times when the person comes in, and a lot of times we'll do the return before we go in. So I'll redo your return. And a lot of times you were getting a return. You just weren't getting 10 grand back. You might have been getting like a couple of grand back or whatever, but you get 10 grand back. And what's the worst part about that, Isaac, before we go? Which kind of goes right back to everything that I've been saying from the start. So you get a 10 grand return. What do people usually do with it? I'll tell you what they don't do with it. They don't save it or nothing like that, because what happens if they get audited?
I'm gonna go down there, and typically around the return, we go down to go get a down payment for a car. We're gonna go shopping, and then we're gonna probably put some on the car, right? That I can't really afford, but I got the down payment. At least I got the down payment for it, right?
And then what happens when they get audited, Isaac? They go down there and they say, I can't pay that money back. You mean the money that wasn't yours in the first place? Bam. The money that wasn't yours in the first place. You scammed. You might not have personally scammed yourself, but you scammed to get that money. And now the IRS wants it back, and you blew that money. You went on that cruise. Again, you went and put a down payment on a car that you can't make the car payment on. You went and did all these things. And now, are you in a worse situation now by doing that? Because now you got to pay all that money back with the penalties, interest, and all that you do not have, because you went and spent it on stuff that if you did not have the money, you would not have bought those things. So how are you not in a worse situation right now? And worse off, let's say I got 10 grand back and the person who did the tax return charges me 10 to 15%. That's money I'm definitely not getting back. So I didn't even get to enjoy that. It's almost like the person who gets the $250,000 line of credit or the $250,000 business loan, right? And then gives the person $25,000, right? Mm-hmm. That's $25,000 I don't even get to enjoy when I'm not able to pay it back. And I have to file bankruptcy all over again and stuff like that because I took out these loans that I can't pay back. But the person who helped me do it and took the 10%, they're gone. They're in the win, right? And that's just the 10% to get you the loan. What about the money that they took from you to take that course to do some type of business that you're not even going to make money doing?
Yeah.
You know, the Forex and all that good stuff, right?
Yeah.
Take all these courses to learn how to, again, I'm not going to name them, but you know, the type of businesses out here to learn how to do Toro, to learn how to do Airbnbs, to do stuff like that. You guys have seen these courses before. I'm not saying something people have never heard of before. People pay out $5, $10, $15, $20,000 for these courses. And usually when somebody comes in here, what do I say to them, Isaac? You're not going to make your investment back. Then they get mad at me. I'm like, you're not going to make your investment back. What are you talking about? if somebody charges me 10% on 250 to $500,000, I'm already $50,000 in the hole. And we're not even talking about the course yet. If you got me $500,000 and charging me 10%, I'm $50,000 in the hole. So I'm having to dig out other 50,000. And that's just the 50,000. What about the interest on the 50,000?
Mm.
I haven't got one client. I haven't sold one product. And I'm already $50,000 in the hole. That's high because it's 500,000, but let's just say 250. I'm already $25,000 in the hole. I've met one client. I haven't sold one product. And that's just to get me the money. What about the course that I'm paying for because they helped me get the credit? They helped me clean up my credit to get the credit to be able to pay for the course.
Got no leads,
Nothing.
no proof of concept really that you can
No
actually do
business
it.
plan.
And
Again,
then
like I said, no
realize
business plan,
that
no nothing.
as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, it takes a lot of time, energy, effort. Time is really big. That's like
Right.
if you are a busy person, you in traffic, you're commuting, you're working too, you got kids, you got family, you got responsibilities, and you trying to work on a business, right, is hard. And not to say you shouldn't work on a business or try to have something, some type of stream of income, but
Correct.
it's just counting the cost of what that's going to look like. And it might not be profitable. And you're trying to do something knowing that you don't really realistically have the time to actually, if you had all day and you had the time and the freedom, maybe you had all that, but most of us don't have all day and can put in 70, 80 hours a week
Put
to
you in a
make something work.
successful in it. Just because you say you have it, like I said, if you're not putting the work in, if you're not able to do the things to grow the business, you're right, it's never going to grow. So a lot of times, like you said, when I do budgeting consultations and we talk about trying to find money, trying to make money to build to be able to pay your bills and stuff like that, most people say, "Oh, I need to start a business." And when I say pump your brakes, then like, what are you talking about? Because again, a lot of times businesses are not profitable when they first start out, right? Businesses are not profitable. And so you're kind of being counterproductive because now I'm taking the personal money that I really didn't have, because that's why we're having this conversation. I'm having to take my personal money to pay for my business. Again, like I said, what kind of sense does it make for you to keep? And I mean, we're not even talking about five, $10,000 losses. We have people in here coming in here saying, my business took a $40,000 loss. My business took a $60,000 loss. That doesn't even make any common sense. I make $100,000 a year and I'm sinking $60,000 into a business. How am I living? It doesn't even make any sense. That's just from that math. But at the same time, people want to get mad when I say you'd be better off driving Uber or working security or doing something on the weekends or something like that, where you just go in and you get a guaranteed check. People don't want to hear that because everybody believes you have to be a business owner, right? Everybody has to be a boss. Everybody has to be a business owner. Everybody has to be able to write all this stuff off and do all these things. You need to be a business to do these things, right? But again, it's counterproductive if your goal when you sit down is I'm trying to save money. I'm trying to build a savings account. I'm trying to build wealth. That's counterproductive. Now, obviously, as it continues to grow, you're right. Hopefully you will grow into a business that's profitable and stuff like that. But you have to have the things in place to be able to sustain till you get that. Because most people, when they start a business, it's not profitable the first couple of years. Definitely not profitable enough for you to be able to handle the business expenses and your personal expenses. So that's why people have to go and get all these loans and lines of credit and stuff like that. A lot of times, like I just said, if I go get a line of credit or something like that to start a business and I quit my job, so I'm having to pay my bills with that line of credit and stuff like that. How am I making the money to be able to pay that back? So I'm paying all this interest and everything, right? Even though my business isn't making any money. And sadly, I think I've said this before, you don't even realize your business isn't making any money because you're living off of this line of credit. You're living off of these credit cards. You're living off of these loans. But if you really and truly looked at your profit and loss statement and saw your business was negative, you would sit back and say, man, I'm going to eventually run out of money, right? Or I'm just going to have to keep on getting loans. I'm going to have to keep on getting all this money. And so then eventually what happens? I can't pay my vendors back. I got to file bankruptcy. And then my business is gone. And then in many cases, like I said, you're worse off than when you began. But we don't see it like that because we see people who are doing videos getting in jets and sitting on Lamborghinis. And if I see one more video, Isaac, of somebody telling me Chase is just giving away $150,000 as you're standing in the Bahamas or walking around, what does that got to do with the loan, Isaac? Because you're going to take the loan to go on these vacations? I think I've proven my point.
Yeah.
I think I've proven my point, right? If you're doing those videos of you being on vacation and doing these type of things, that's what you're doing with the money. That's what you're doing with the money. Because that's what you're showing me, right? So.
All right. That's good. That's good. Thanks, Eric, for your wisdom and lived experience, sir. We really appreciate it, man. This is a great live today. I'm really excited about moving forward and being able to impact and encourage other folks about finances and stuff like that. So this has really been good. I realize that good credit can open up doors but good habits can keep you like inside the house.
You right? Got the habits. If you don't have the habits, you're gonna go right back to where you began. And that's the tragedy when you see so many people who say they do credit repair, can help you get all these credit cards. Again, like I said, I'm not trying to be arrogant or like that. I don't need anybody to help me get credit, right? I don't need anybody to help me fix my credit, right? If I have good habits, if I know what I'm doing and whatnot, I can do it on my own. If you need somebody to help you do these type of things, there's a problem. And it's one thing if you're taking a course to learn how to budget. So like if somebody says, okay, I'm going to teach you credit repair, but you got to take this course on budgeting. You got to learn how to spend your money. You got to learn how to budget and do things like that. That's one thing, as opposed to somebody saying, I can fix your credit in 14 days.
Yeah. That's not solving the problem, really. That's not solving the problem. That's not solving the problem.
It's almost like what they're saying with Turkey Leg Hut. It's like, I'm just going to sweep all your expenses away. Go forth and do your thing. I haven't learned anything from this. I haven't learned anything from it. I haven't learned anything from it. Am I going to act right or am I going to keep on doing what I've been doing? More than likely, I'm going to keep on doing what I've been doing, right? Because you've shown me that you can fix it. Somebody can fix it for me.
That's good stuff, man.
And these are the people, like I said, who go, and I would say this, these are the people who go to the dealership with the 540 credit score and $1,000 and hot. And hot because they won't let you destroy yourself. They won't let you walk out with it. You think they're being racist. You think they're doing this and that. First of all, they're protecting their investment, first of all, and they're really trying to help you. As crazy as it sounds, they're really trying to help you because you can't help yourself, apparently.
Yeah.
You can't help yourself because you're willing to do the type of things that 540 credit score, going to pay 20-something% for a car.
Hey man, I make that 540 credit score work. I paid 19% before.
But you got out of it, right?
I did.
You got out of it. But
now I just pay for it with cash.
I don't want to bust you out. Did you pay that 19% on a Mercedes? All right.
No. No, I did not.
The man to get that Phantom, did you, like on those videos we were watching, did you demand to pay 19% on that Phantom? Did you demand to pay 19% on that Lamborghini, saying I got a I got a style, I got to do that. And when the person says no, you need to go get this type of car until you build up your credit, till you get your credit right. They don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear that because I got to still
You know,
have this mindset. I still have to have people think that I have money and stuff like that. And that's absolutely crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
everybody want to ride in a Honda.
Everybody wants to.
Everybody don't want to ride in a Honda. I get it.
I
I
get it.
get it.
I
Like,
get it. Everybody's grown. I'm not mad at you. I get it. I get it. But
yeah.
but then don't stand back like the video that you sent me right before we came on. Don't sit here and say that there's systems in place and stuff like that that are keeping us down. You're the one signing for that car. Again, I'll use the example. I told them no. I said, if you've got to send me money, no, I don't need this money. So why would I let you send me money so I got to start paying you interest on it? Correct? You're
Correct.
grown. You're grown. It's one thing to say I need a car. Great. But trust me, there's a car you can go in that you can afford. The problem is you don't want to drive in that car. There's a house that you can afford if you stay within your budget. If you stay within your pie, like we talk about all the time. If you stay within that 50%, there's a house that you can afford. Maybe not now. I know it's kind of hard now, but
Yeah.
in most cases, if you are having problems, if you are living above your means, it's by your own doing. It's by the things that it's by the house you live in, it's by the car you drive, it's by the vacations you go on, it's by the lifestyle you live. If you are living above your means, that's on you. Don't put that on anybody else. And most people do live above their means. They just do.
I mean, what if you just don't have means to really?
I get it. So you heard me say not everybody. I
Yeah.
don't want everybody to jump on me and say I only make this. But again, it's like the old saying, if you watch like the Dave Ramseys and stuff like that, there are people who call up and say they make $300,000-$400,000 a year.
Yeah.
Can't pay their bills.
Yeah.
Is that the system?
It's insane. The house is ridiculous.
Lifestyle
And
creep.
their cars like $120,000 for 2 cars, and they're making all this money, and they're
Own 2
like,
houses, gotta go on this
I'm
vacation.
like, I'm like, you're doing well, but you're not putting the money where it needs to be. Because obviously you're calling because there's an issue, right? There's something going on that we're doing. It's not working well. So,
And then there's people who are watching the video who make a tenth of that. So
yeah.
your household makes 500,000. This household makes 50, 60,000, and they're shaking their head because they can understand how you can't afford to live, and they're living off of $50,000, $60,000 a year.
Yeah.
And again, I know comments are going to say, you know what you're talking about? No. Stop watching these people who are walking to the jets and doing all that. Watch the Dave Ramseys. Watch the people like that who have people who really and truly believe in living below their means.
Yeah.
Who really and truly believe that. They really and truly believe that.
Yeah.
So they make it work. They make it work. If they got to drive a 2012 Toyota Corolla as opposed to that Benz you're driving, if they don't go out on the weekends, as opposed to you partying up, going to the movies, going on all these cruises and stuff like that, if that's the lifestyle you want to live, fine. But don't say that someone doesn't know what they're talking about if they say to you, there are people who are living off of 5 times less than what you make. And you say, that's not possible. No, it is possible. Because these people are sticking to a budget. They're living within their means. They might not be able to live as extravagantly as you, but I bet you they're not as stressed out as you are.
Yeah.
And I know that. When I was growing my business, I was stressed the hell out all the time. So I know as I was growing my business, I was stressed out all the time growing my business. So it feels great to not be stressed out about paying my mortgage and paying the car note and doing all this stuff. That's a great feeling, as opposed to being stressed out all the time about it. So does that make sense to make all that money but still be stressed out all the time?
No.
No sense at all.
No sense. That's good, man. Thank you, Eric.
Yeah,
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Thank you for tuning in to the Financial Turtle with Eric Anderson. Yeah, please, let us know what you thought about today's live. Please send in your comments, your questions. If you have anything specific you would like to learn about or know more about, I know we have your mastering your money boot camp coming up. If those who are interested in signing that 6 weeks, um please follow us and subscribe to our Facebook page, the YouTube channel as well, and TikTok as well. You can follow us. So yeah, and hey, this is Eric Anderson right here with the Financial Turtle. Slow, steady, wealthy. All right, you guys,
All right.
signing off.